Hello and welcome everyone to today's session on Stipendium Hungaricum Scholarships. So sorry to keep you waiting, but there are still a lot of people joining, so we had a bit of delay, but we are ready to start now. And as you know, we begin with a short presentation by our panelists and then move to the Q&A. Yes, just to give you a broad outline of what we're going to cover today, we will sort of give you an overview of the scholarship, what it covers, the application process, the timeline, what universities are eligible for the scholarship. So all universities might not be eligible for you to avail the scholarship. Then we'll go into the selection process, why you should apply, general tips, and some resources for you to go through before you apply for the scholarship. About Project EduAccess, so basically, Project EduAccess is an attempt to improve and increase inclusivity in higher education spaces by removing some systemic and structural barriers for marginalized communities in the global South. So we essentially aim to improve the participation and representation of individuals from marginalized communities in higher education and create avenues for personal, professional, and leadership development. And we have four key interventions by which we aim to do this, which is first, mentoring, counseling, and role modeling; second, information, advice, and guidance; third, capacity building and leadership skill development; and fourth, evidence-based advocacy. So we really hope that today's session will help you in applying for these scholarships, and do look out for our other public sessions or other collaborations that we do in case they're of use to you. With that, I'll introduce our wonderful panelists for today. We have Imtisal, who is doing a master's in public policy at Hertie School; Tabish, who is doing a PhD at the Institute of English and American Studies at University of Debrecen; Zeeshan, who is doing an MSc in Computer Science at the Eötvös Loránd University. Our panelists speak English and also Kashmiri, so if you have any questions, you can ask them in either of the languages. But you can do that in the Q&A session, either as we said, you can direct them via chat to me or any one of the panelists for today. So thank you to all the wonderful panelists joining us. And with that, I hand it over to Zeeshan to take us through an overview of the scholarship.
Thank you so much. First of all, a very good afternoon to everyone. And my name is Mohammad Zeeshan, and I'm doing my master's in computer science with cybersecurity specialization at Eötvös Loránd University, Budapest, Hungary. And first thing first, I would like to thank Project EduAccess like to organize this webinar. I can see a lot of known names here. I'm very happy to see you guys, and I hope you will take away some key value which will help you in the application process. So I'll just give you the overview of the Stipendium and Hungaricum Scholarship. So it was basically established by Hungarian government in 2013, which is considered one of the most prestigious educational initiative aimed at internalization. So basically, this will be the 12th batch for which the application is going on, and I was from the 10th batch, that is 2023. And it is the fully funded scholarship opportunities for all over the students worldwide, which include Indians, of course, to studies in Hungary at various degree level, that is bachelor's, master's, and PhD. And additionally, like the program operates through bilateral educational agreements between Hungary and over 90 partners countries. So every country has their sending partners. For us as an Indian, we have the sending partner, that is the University Grant Commission (UGC), which falls under the Ministry of Education. So they both take part throughout your application process. Moving to the next slide, please. So as I mentioned, it's a fully funded scholarship. So I'll let you know what does it covers. So in general, like it covers all your living expenses, tuition fee, accommodation. First of all, the tuition fee, full waiver of the tuition fee is covered in this scholarship. So either you are doing bachelor's, master's, or PhD, for every semester, us your tuition fee will be covered. Along with that, you will receive also a monthly stipend of around 43,700 HUF for undergrads and master students. And if you are doing your PhD, you will get 140,000 for PhD students. And Regarding the accommodation, they provide free dormitory accommodation. And if you're planning to like stay outside, rent an apartment, then you will get an allowance of 40,000 per month, along with the living allowance. And the most important is the health insurance. This is also covered by the Hungarian government, which is up to the 65,000 annually. And there are others fees as well, like the visa fees is also covered, and travel expenses is beared by your sending partner, that is UGC. So it's a different process. Like once you get the confirmation from your universities and the sending partner, you will receive a separate email from the University Grant Commission regarding the travel amount reimbursement. So they will provide you some specific agents, travel agents, and you have to book tickets through them to get the ticket reimbursed. So once you book the tickets, you have to send them the ticket, and then they will reimburse you the travel allowance. Next slide, please. Okay, so the application process, as I mentioned earlier, it's a bilateral scholarship. So both the partners, sending partners and the receiving partners, will take part in your application process. So first of all, you have to be nominated by your home country authorities. For example, as I mentioned, Ministry of Education is responsible for the Indian students. uh, First you have to choose the program, that is whatever program you have to apply for example bachelor's, masters, or phd. And you can go through the application portal, that is apply.hungary stipendium hungaricum.hu, and you can select your courses and upload all the relevant documents on the application form. And once you are done with the application form, you have to take the printout of the application form, and you have to attach all the relevant documents with that, and you have to send that documents physically to the UGC office. And then once everything is received from your side, they will release a nomination list. That is, UGC will release a nomination list. Last year, in 2023, around 268 students were nominated. And then after the nomination, the respective universities and will contact you regarding the interview and exams. And then a final list of scholarship students will be uh, released. I think out of 268, 164 or 120 something students were selected for the scholarship. So this is, my other panelists will cover the process in the coming slides. I think I'm done now. Now I will hand over to the Imtishal to continue for the slides. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Zeeshan, for those wonderful insights. Now I hand it over to Imtisal to take us forward through the timeline of the scholarship.
Perfect. Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, thanks a lot, EduAccess team, for organizing this. It's super helpful. So I'll just quickly jump into the slide. So when it comes to the timeline, which is one of the important factor of this scholarship, which many of the students tend to like ignore and take it lightly. So like usually the application process for the stipendium opens in the mid of November or by the end of November. So it's better to just keeping an eye, like to keep an eye on the website from mid of November to be on a safer side. And usually the submission days are like the date will be around until mid Jan. So it's recommended to submit your like application in the first week of Jan, just to be on a safer side again. So soon after that, how does the like selection process takes place? So here, like from February to May, the interview processes and evaluation process takes place. But before that, so there is no any set criteria that like this student will be selected or this student will be selected, but mostly they decide it on the basis of your uh, undergraduation. If you're applying for masters, if you're applying for PhD, then your masters scores will be evaluated, and mostly on the basis of your previous mark sheets, you will be selected. That's what I know. And then the final results will be announced in June, with mostly in Europe, like the study starts in September. So that's how the application process goes on, and these are the timelines which has to be kept in mind. But meanwhile, when we are applying, I think that will come into the next slides, but just when we are applying to the Stipendium Hungaricum scholarship, we also need to keep an eye on the Stipendium Hungaricum, because soon after we submit the application in the UGC, as Zeeshan mentioned, we also have to send all these documents to UGC. So that needs to be go hand in hand, or else, like, most of the times students tend to like submit their application in Stipendium, but they're not aware of the process which goes on with Ministry of Education. So this is one of the important thing, and I would be happy to take you through like how exactly and where to find in UGC portal. And yeah, and next slide, please. So what are the like which are the universities which are eligible for this program? So there are like around 30 Hungarian universities which participate in this scholarship, and you get to choose like, I think, minimum like 80 programs which are there, covering natural science, engineering, social science, arts and humanities, and many more. Just to mention here, there are four. And there are there are a few popular universities which has like very good global recognition. So the names are here, the like popular universities, and you can of course have a look into this. But sometimes it's also important to consider those universities which are good for your program. Sometimes most of these universities could be good for computer science or natural science, but again, you have to look into the program, and you need to see what is ranking when it comes to the program, and then you have to decide on the basis of the program ranking. Next slide. So yeah, this is one of the important thing which where sometimes there will be like a confusion. So this is very important to understand that soon after you submit your application to Stipendium, you need to keep an eye on the UGC portal. And in the UGC portal, there is a section called International Cooperation. That's the place where the notification will be sent, where you have to submit all the documents within a like given period of time, and then on the basis of that, the UGC will nominate the students from India. Soon after the students get nominated, then there will be a interview process from this Stipendium Hungaricum team. So after the interview, sorry, with me, like I had an experience. After submitting the application, there was a exam which we had to give. I think it's very similar, if I'm not wrong, Zeeshan, right? Yeah. So soon after we submit our applications, there will be an exam, and which will mostly cover aptitude and logical reasoning, and it's very basic. And then there will be, once we get selected, after the examination, so we will be invited for the interview, and if interview is done, but mostly it will be personal interview. I mean to say like online personal interview, and then once it's done, then you will like the decision will be based on the merit and potential based, which is of course like on your previous mark sheets, and then the interview and the exam which you have given recently. So on like,
Sorry for the
yeah, please
sorry for
go.
the interruption. Like the exams are like depends on your course. So suppose you are going for computer science, so the exam will be related to computer science. And if you're going to through medical, it depends on your course. So like you mentioned,
Thanks
it's
a
not,
lot.
yeah.
Okay. So for my program, Masters in Public Policy, I'm really sorry. So for my program, I had aptitude and logical reasoning and few other more things. So I think it's completely right that it totally depends on the kind of program you're applying to, and on the basis of that, you will be asked, if I'm not wrong, the basic things. So that's good to go. So yeah, thank you so much, Zishan, and I will hand it over to Tabish.
Thank you so much, Eötvös. Um, Good afternoon, everybody. This is Tabish Nabi. I'm pursuing PhD at Institute of English and American Studies, University of Debrecen. Before I'll go ahead with my uh, portion of slides, I would like to add a little information to what Zeeshan and Intisal has spoken for now. As far as the Memorandum of Understanding is concerned, uh, basically Hungary had signed a memorandum of understanding with India, I think few years back in 2016 or 2014. But since last 2 years, we don't get to see any information from UGC for now. I mean, there's this direct sort of interaction going on between students and the Tempest Foundation, which is basically the higher education in Hungary, higher education department in Hungary. So my point is, I mean, there are chances that Hungary could sign a memorandum of understanding with UGC itself, but for consecutive 2 years now, we didn't get to see much of we didn't get any updates from UGC itself. So for last 2 years, if you are wondering that why there is not any update on UGC about Stipendium Hungaricum Scholarship from last 2 years, so this is basically the reason. But that does not mean that we didn't get to see rush of Indian students in the previous batch. We considerably had a large chunk from India. It's a caution for now, since we do not know about this year whether they're going to sign it or not. So be prepared in either of the cases. Either you get the information from UGC itself, or you directly go to the Stipendium Hungaricum portal and sign up for your applications there. In either of the ways, and also a very important detail that usually when Stipendium Hungaricum scholarships are out, it's mostly nearly around, I mean, mid of November. But if we talk about the sending partner, they just release the notifications on UGC portal just 5 days prior, or let's suppose 4 days prior, 3 days prior. So be very mindful of the application notifications or the updates coming from UGC, because if you miss that, there is no point of going forward with the application. So be careful, keep checking on UGC side. On the updates, on the home screen itself, you'll get to see updates about many scholarships, and similarly, you'll get to see updates about stipendium also. So if application, let's suppose if application closes nearly around 15th of January, that means that means around 10th of January you'll start searching UGC website, if it's like they have already signed a memorandum of understanding with Hungary. But in case it's not so, you still start filling the application as soon as possible, because mostly the UGC part comes into the being only when you have to send your documents to the sending partner, that is UGC. Otherwise, there's no such great role. You'll have to anyway fill your applications, so start filling it anyway. Um, other very important thing that Zeeshan and also Intisal spoke about, the criteria, the selection criteria. Um, since it's a two-tier criteria, since it's a two-tier process, it's the UGC that selects, that nominates, and basically, because the competition is high nowadays, we see a lot of applications getting, you know, dropped off, and we see a lot of applications getting rejected. Earlier, they had this criteria of, perhaps nominating students who have 75 as their basic eligibility criteria, and if they have any other credentials, they would just evaluate. Now, what I see, the trend is changing since last 2 years. No student, having an average sort of, let's suppose 75 percentile, or let's suppose GPA, which is equivalent to 75 to 80. Most of the applications that we actually reviewed weren't actually entertained. So GPA becomes a really important factor if you're applying for masters, especially, or let's suppose even if you're applying for undergrad. So GPA becomes really an important factor. And apart from that, thing that we tend to overlook most of the times is your extracurricular activities. Let's suppose your internships, your NGO experiences, your volunteering experiences. So mostly when we are into academics, we tend to uh, sideline them, or let's suppose not, we don't prioritize them. But now I think the trend is already changing. These things are really important. Gather as much as experiences that you can, and also gap year becomes a problem. I mean, they question if you have a gap year and they ask you in the interview that what did you do in the gap year, that really becomes a mess later on. I mean, that's also a reason of rejection. So UGC criteria is basically for PhD specifically. It's really I mean it's really I won't say it's not complicated, but I think it's a requirement. They'll ask anyway for your research experiences. One or two research papers to your credit is like that's very important. And also, I think a streamlined proposal is what UGC asks for. Apart from that thing, as I said, that your extracurricular activities are really important. Your NGO experiences, particularly, and if you have worked in your own field, that's really important. So yeah, and about exams, I think not all of the faculties, when you are submitting your application, not all the faculties actually ask for oral exams or the written exams. It's just I think the some fields pertaining to sciences and few of the arts programs, arts and humanities programs, they ask for the written test or the oral exams. But as such, it's just UGC selecting and then having a direct interview with the Hungarian higher education uh, people or the university professors, basically. Coming on to my own slides, let's continue with that. Why are Stipendium Hungaricum scholarships important? Because Hungary is first and foremost, Hungary is really pretty. On a serious note, okay. And apart from that thing, I think Hungary really offers an exposure to. I mean, it's really a unique blend of tradition and modernity in Europe, because it really comes on those cross borders where lots of people come, and you'll get to see many nationalities here. And simultaneously there is this exchange of ideas and stuff. So in that capacity, it's a really nice scholarship. And as far as its educational institutions are concerned, I would say that they they are really eminent. I mean, they are really important institutions too, in terms of if speaking about arts and humanities, lots of universities here in Hungary are you know globally recognized for arts and humanities too. And as far as arts and humanities are concerned, but institutions like ELTE and University of Page, and for that matter, University of Debrecen, are also important with regard to medicine, pursuing your studies in medicine, MBBS, and few other programs associated with medicine. And also, since it's one of those really important scholarships, because you have a full waiver, a full tuition waiver, and apart from that thing, you have accommodation fee that is also getting paid, and a monthly stipend too. I think that makes it really one of those really easygoing scholarships that you can take. Can we have the next slide, please? Thank you. Some of the general tips that students ask about while applying to this scholarship, I think it's basically the for PhD applicants particularly, it's very important that you are actually streamlining your goals. Unless you don't do that, I don't think so. Be it UGC, be it any other university around the globe, they won't entertain your ideas. They won't entertain your application. And so far PhD is concerned, you need to take one thing into consideration, that every university or maybe every scholarship has a portal, okay, where they sort of announce their research topics that they would want to work on for this academic year. Let's suppose for 2025, every university in Hungary, they have announced their set of topics. Rather, every supervisor actually announces the topic that he would want to work on for this academic year, and the website itself is doktori.hu, doktori.hu. So before framing your research ideas into a concrete proposal, or before concretizing your ideas into something, I think you must go through this website for once, doctory.hu. That will help you maybe align your research ideas with the scholarship itself. And also, I think very important point. It's not just about going through the website and then sending directly your proposal to the sending partner, or you're uploading it on the application itself. Before doing that, it is a must requirement. I mean, like, for because the competition is too much high nowadays, you must have an acceptance from one of the professors minimum. But I would suggest that get two acceptances from the universities, because Stipendium Hungaricum Scholarship has at least two options for the universities. I mean, you can select two universities itself. So it's better wherever you are applying. Let's suppose you're shortlisting to universities where you're going to apply you're going to apply in. You must contact the professors of both these universities and at least get an acceptance from each one. Okay, but how do you do that? Firstly, go to the doctory.hu. That is very important, and then streamline your ideas and research ideas with the somehow connect it with the announced topic itself, and then send your proposal and your CV to basically write down your research ideas to the professor that you would want to work with, because you're already shortlisting it, you're already narrowing your choices down. So then ask them a formal letter of acceptance. That is, they'll get it signed by the head of the doctoral school, or on a letterhead, on an institutional letterhead, let's suppose, and then you upload that letter of acceptance to your application itself, be it to the sending partner or to the normal application itself. One of the really important things while considering PhD is your research proposal. Most of the times, we write down our thoughts and send it to the professors without even consulting whether they really want to work on it or not. And most of the students are really tired that they don't get to hear from these professors. Now they are tired because they have already emailed, let's suppose, dozen of professors already, and then they don't get to hear from these professors. That is why I told you that you need to keep an eye on the announced topics. If they do not find something pertaining to their interest, why would they foremost, why would they even reply to your emails? So be very particular about that. And also your research proposal, it shouldn't be out of their interest. And also, I mean, be clear what you really want to do with your proposal, because sometimes we just keep on writing and we don't have clear cut objectives, concise objectives. It's like your outlines, your methods, your significance of the project is not really clear. So be very particular. Even if this doesn't has to this doesn't have to be very long. It should be concise, but it should be, putting your message across, that what you exactly want to do. So for that matter, I would say that if you are interested in working with a particular professor, I would suggest read his readings too. If you mention his readings, because that way the professor actually already has an idea. Okay, this person is already updated with his research work with the subsequent connecting research in and around the globe. So you'll have to be very you'll have to be very clever in actually making that. I won't say clever, I mean that's a negative sort of term, but I think you have to be strategic in writing to the professors. That is a very important part, because ultimately at the end of the day it's a luring process. You'll have to lure them in. why would they entertain you? So be very particular when you're writing to them, and also if you can add your CV attached with the email, that's also very important. And and also, as Zeeshan and Imtisal also, they also speak about this, that sometimes it's not just about the famous universities that where you would want to. I mean, sometimes we just go crazy after QS rankings and stuff, but then the program you are applying in is not really worth. So we, you'll have to, it's a hit and trial method. Basically, when you hit the websites of the universities, then you come to know that what are the achievements for the of the particular department. And so be very careful in actually narrowing down your universities and then the departments too. So be mindful of that thing. I've already spoken about the acceptances. um, and also very important point about Stipendium Hungaricum is writing a compelling motivation letter. Most of the times we get this question that how to write motivation letters, right? Again, I say that they are luring troops. You are luring your supervisors or the Stipendium Hungaricum or the Tempest Foundation. You are basically trying to motivate them why they would want to take you, right? So be very careful in actually highlighting your achievements, and then writing about why are you, then connecting it very coherently and very cohesively with why you are a suitable candidate for this scholarship and why you are applying for this scholarship, right? And there's a very big caution: no chat gpt, because motivation letters are really personal. Don't use chat gpt, because chat gpt has this set sort of vocab. Okay, somehow there are a few words that 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 are there everywhere. I mean, from captions to these big academic documents, you get to see this common sort of lingo or vocab everywhere. So be very careful. This has to be very personal, because everybody has his or her personal journey that he or she can traverse to, that he or she has traversed even till now. So be very particular about your motivation letter, and also double check your document accuracy. And I would suggest that if you can beforehand get your documents attested from Ministry of Higher Education in India, that is a very good thing, because once you are already nominated by UGC, let's suppose, then your visa process starts. Then you got to submit your documents to the Hungarian embassy. So they already ask for the attested documents. If it's like you want to be, you want to have optimum cost, you don't want to spend much of the pennies on these on getting these documents attested. So start your process right in right beforehand, or let's suppose from March, because this process eventually takes a lot of time. And as I said, that you need to have a look on the deadlines too, because UGC itself won't actually inform you right from the November. They release the notifications by the end of the application period. So be very vigilant. Keep checking on UGC website. Keep checking. Start with the application form beforehand. It's not that complicated, but I would suggest, because there is the process of document upload. That really takes time. Can we have the next slide, please? Yeah, and for the further information, students can, visit the website of stipendiumhungaricum.hu, and the name of the responsible authority, as you already know, it's UGC India. But then I've already given a caution for this year, because last year they didn't have UGC as the sending partner. They had just direct interactions with the Stipendium Hungaricum. So there was not it was not a two-tier process. It was just a one-tier process. Yeah, I think, thank you. That covers most of the questions.
Thank you so much, Imtisal and Tabish, for that wonderful presentation. We now move to the Q&A part of the session. So if you have any questions, as I said, you can raise your hand and ask them directly to the panelists, or you can put them in chat as a DM to me or either one of the panelists. So we have a couple of questions in chat which will address, and then we can get to the raised hand. So first, can we get the recorded session? Yes, this is a public session and the recording will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. I'll send the link towards the end. There is a question eligibility which Imtisal has addressed. Okay. Is minimum of 7.5 or more GPA eligibility criteria, as Tabish mentioned, applicable to the PhD degree applications too? Tabish, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, basically, of course, that's the basic criteria. But since PhD is a larger project, they just don't only look onto your GPA and stuff. That's the basic eligibility criteria. But I think a very important point that more than your GPA, I think it's your research proposal, it's your research papers that are really important to them. Because I mean, this is very logical. That why would a supervisor want to work with a candidate who just has a master's degree, and then he has a couple of more candidates who have already research papers to their credits. Let's suppose they have already published papers or one or two papers. So it's better. Don't worry much about your GPA. Be more focused on your on drafting your research papers, getting them published in a very in somehow good journals. I'm so sure there are very good journals in India too. Pertaining to every subject. So keep an eye on writing something at least, and also focus on your research proposal. Uh, don't underestimate your research ideas, because sometimes even if you do not have research papers to your credits, but your ideas are very novel. Your ideas are very eminent. So have a have a have a clarity of thought. Have clear ideas. Um, yeah, that's all.
Thank you, Tabish. Mukadasa, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Thank you, Zayan. My first of all, thank you so much, guys, for this session. I'll jump straight into my question because I know I'll forget. So I'm sorry, Imtisal, if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Lekin, my question is from the for the program that I'm applying for. Just to give you a bit of a background, I'm a governance and public policy bachelorate student, and I graduated back in June 2023. Since then, I have been working in a bit of a gender sector, if that makes sense. I work with some grassroots level communities and the Women Parliamentary Caucus, the National Assembly of Pakistan. And with that, I've been working a bit internationally, and it's also the nonprofit sector, and that is in gender too. My question really comes from a space of if I apply for a master's that is more gendered, like the program that I'm trying to apply for, it's called Women, Gender, and Sexuality Studies. And a lot of people, I've spoken to a lot of people, and they come off to me and be like, hey, if you're applying for this master's, you might not get the scholarship. You do have a great profile, but you're stepping from your bachelor program of public policy into gender, and that might not be a good step. And I don't want to get a master's into another program because I mean, what's the point? It doesn't align with what I want to do with my life. So I'm like, do you think this would be a problem? How should I look at this, or how should I approach this in my motivation letter? But just the reason I shared with you my journey or my experiences, I do have a lot of work done in that after my bachelor's, or even when I was doing my bachelor's in public policy. But I do feel like I really need to pivot, but like I'm hesitant. What do you think? Thank you.
Okay, can I go ahead? So just to answer your question, thank you so much for that question. And just the straightforward answer is you can get the scholarship. Very, very straightforward answer. So there is nothing like you cannot align it. Let me give you an example. What I did soon after completing my bachelor's, I worked with non-profit organization for 1 year, and I didn't have any particular specialization, but mostly I was working on education. Okay, but as I am doing my Masters in Public Policy program in Germany, my program is mostly on like education and health policy. It's all about like how do you approach it in your SOP. And just to give you a one or two suggestions on it, you can focus on like how does your experience and the kind of program what you're going to pursue is going to align in the future. That's the only thing what they look for in the SOP. And once you get selected in the SOP, that means that you have like convinced them, and in the interview they just want to see like how do you like put your thoughts into the action. That's exactly what they are trying to see over there. But as you gave your background like gender perspective, there are like you can bring exactly the same thing, and there is nothing like people will not give you the scholarship. It's just about like convincing them that like you have those criteria and you do have experience. And sorry, I forgot your name, but you do have your experience on the ground, which most of these universities appreciate. It's not about like working in the big offices and sitting in front of the laptops, but it's mostly working on the ground and getting to understand the grassroots realities. So please do apply, and if you feel like if you need any suggestions or guidance or anything, please reach out to me. I would be more than happy to connect you and guide you over that. But please don't hesitate to apply. I don't know from where all this kind of news comes, but do apply for this and you will get the scholarship. It's very straightforward.
I would like to add, I mean, gender nowadays is like that hot pot thing.
Exactly.
I mean, like, I mean, and introducing gender in the public policy is like, I think it's now very normal. So I don't think so. There's any reason to not to apply. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, thanks, guys, because I've spoken to a lot of people in this whole year. I've been just like sitting in front of this laptop and speaking to a lot of people. And one of the things that has come up with is, girl, the profile is great, but you're not gonna get it because you're just like jumping into this space of it doesn't
I
make
think,
sense. But yeah,
sorry, I think they were the wrong people to whom you were speaking. So
I'm not speak anyway.
yeah.
yeah,
Be
thanks,
very
guys.
careful to ideas.
But please reach out to me. We'll
I
definitely
will.
go through
If you
your
could
SOP.
drop your LinkedIn in the chat box, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'm dropping my
I have
email
another
here.
question, Zion, if I could, if I'm not taking up too much time.
No,
Yeah,
please go
sure,
ahead.
sure, sure. Go ahead.
I have another question, and that is from you, Tabish. So I'm telling you that I've been working on my SOP for 2 months now. It's not completed. It's still in the draft process, and I'm hating myself for that. Uh, Let me ask you the question. So I have tried to link my research or whatever done so far with my professors, with the program. I've looked up the professor. I've kind of connected with them on the LinkedIn. Didn't send them a DM or anything so far. But my question is really about that, the same thing that I told Imtisal right now, that I have a lot of experience in what you call it, in the career side, like the practical side, and I haven't done a lot of research, which I think, yes, it is a bit of a backlash. I don't know. I mean, it's something that I think I should have worked, but I didn't get the time to. And just like if you know a bit about public policy, it's not really gender oriented. I only was able to study gender when I was in my 7th semester. But what I've done is outside that degree, I've tried to get a couple of courses from, again, UCLA and some universities based in USA. And I've been in touch with some professors there. But my thing is that the program that I'm applying to, it's big on research. It's really big on research. You just go through their page and you're like, okay, these people are looking for the people who are interested in research. And I don't have a lot of that, although I went into reading the professor's profile and I do understand now what they work in. What I've done is in my SOP, I've tried to written down, hey guys, this is what this professor does. I enjoy that too. I've done more of an industrial work in that, but not a lot of, practical research. But I would love to, like, that's what I lack. And that's the gap that this university or this program could fill in for me. So can you answer two questions based on that? One is, how do you get a very soft acceptance for that? I am in contact with the professors there, but I haven't yet like been like, guys, do you think I should apply? Like, I've not been hard on that. And the second part is, do you think it's a good gap to highlight? Like, masters is a research program, and I'm like, guys, I haven't done so much so far, but I'd love to understand more of that perspective. I would love to work with these professors. What do you think? What are your thoughts?
Am I speaking to Mukaddas?
It's Bukatsa. People call me everything, so don't worry about it.
Okay. Okay. First and foremost, I don't think so. You need to worry about, because you kept highlighting this point that you do not have much experiences with regard to the research and stuff. But understand one thing. I mean, it's you in the larger picture. Okay, it's not just you. How much you have, let's suppose researched about this particular thing. Let's suppose you're taking gender studies and stuff, and how updated you are about. But that does not mean that you'll lack the basic understanding pertaining the topic. But it's you in the larger picture. Understand that. So let's suppose if you have on ground work experiences and not much pertaining to the research, that's also going to count, because at the end of the day, it's aptitude. Understand, it's research aptitude. Okay, and it's not just how bookish you are, how updated you are with your current topic and stuff. It's you overall. They're going to test your aptitude, which is, I think, your interview. That's where your interview comes into being. That's the guiding factor for them. And also, I would say that you start writing to them. Uh, Streamline your ideas. As I always say, streamline your ideas, narrow down your ideas, because gender studies is a huge project. It's masculinity, it's feminism, it's now queer studies too. So there's this bombardment of ideas now. I would say narrow down your research, and somehow try to connect it, you know, with your on ground experiences. I'm so sure there are a few links to it. I mean, there must be something to add to this sort of juxtaposition. So try to have a sort of juxtaposed proposal and present it to them. I'm so sure they're gonna entertain it. There's nothing like that. They're gonna judge you over one factor, and that's gonna result in, maybe, let's suppose, a rejection. No, that's not the case.
Right. Thank you, guys. So I should go in, even though I don't have a very solid background in research. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much for your responses.
Thank you, Tabish. Now we have a short question and a probably longer one, which is it possible to submit IELTS after the application? This is the first question. And the second is it possible to apply on multiple courses in multiple universities? Zeeshan, do you want to take these
Yeah.
two?
Yeah, sure. First of all, regarding the medium of instruction, I think you can. You can apply with the medium of instruction if you don't have the English exam like IELTS or TOEFL, until and unless the university specifically mention in the eligibility criteria that you have to attach your English exam. So you can go for the medium of instruction. It is valid. And the next one is can you apply for multiple? No, you cannot. When applying, going through the application process, you have to add you will be given two options. So you have to select two universities and two different courses. Either it can be same universities, the same course, the different courses in the same universities, or different universities, different courses. So you have to give two options, like your priority, the first one and the second one. And then accordingly they will arrange your interviews and exams. So yeah, you cannot apply for multiple. You can apply for maximum of two universities, priority wise.
Thank you, Zeeshan.
Thank you.
There's one more question. Could you share possible interview questions? Hard copies or soft copies should be sent to the sending partner. If UGC does not have nomination this year, what can we do? So I think what we can do is you can address the third one first, which is that if UGC does not have a nomination, what can the students do? And then do they need to send hard or soft copies to the sending partner? And then you could possibly share your interview questions or
Yeah.
what basically the interview revolves around. Yeah.
Oh, okay, so in case the university, like the UGC, sorry, they didn't release any notification. So your application for sure will get like scholarship application will get rejected because the receiving partner, that is the Hungarian organization, they should receive the nomination list from the sending partner, that is UGC or any other if you are from different countries. If they did not receive the nomination list like the previous year, they will reject all the scholarship applications. But if you still want to study or any bachelor's or master's, you can go for as a self-funded student. Then your city will reach out to you separately, like sorry for the you didn't got the scholarship, but if you want to continue the studies, you can continue as a self-funded student. So it's up to you whether you want to continue as a fee-paying student, or like wait for more time or apply for different scholarship. And
One second.
yeah.
Sorry, I would like to add here is since last year we didn't have any updates from UGC itself, but that did not mean that we didn't get a large chunk of Indian students. Uh, well, basically, is if UGC doesn't actually update you with a notification, then omit UGC, omit as usual, because most of the applications are actually directly, you are actually opening the Stipendium Hungaricum portal. You're not applying to UGC basically. It's just you are sending your another application to UGC, okay, simultaneously. But very important point, that is what I was actually highlighting, that if UGC doesn't actually update any information about Stipendium Hungaricum scholarship, just directly go to the portal, which is stipendiumhungaricum.hu or stipendiumhungaricum.com. Start filling the application process, start filling the application, upload all your documents, upload acceptances, upload your research proposals, your extracurricular activities, your achievements, everything, your academic credentials, everything, and then you'll get to hear directly from them. There is no basically there is no intervention from UGC in case there is no update from UGC, but that does not mean your scholarship is going to get rejected. Be very particular about it, because last year we have had a large chunk from from India itself. So because last year they didn't have any intervention from UGC itself. So don't think that your applications are going to get rejected. But yeah, it's a little bit tough because in memorandum of understanding you already have a set number of seats. Okay, and when you are directly applying to that scholarship, your chances basically get fairly, let's suppose, somewhat low, but that does not mean your applications will get rejected if you have good GPA. That is why I highlighted this year, I highlighted a very good, much importance of GPA. Your GPA is really important. If your sending partner is not actually getting into the process now, your GPA becomes really the guiding factor, and also your proposals, uh, your acceptances, and your research work becomes really the deciding factor basically. So that's not the case.
Thank you, Tabish. I think the first step will be like go and just apply for on the Stipendium website and wait for the UGC notification. I think the first step will be this.
Yeah,
So yeah, rather than waiting for UGC to release the notification, you should go and just complete your application.
the application itself.
Yeah, and attach all the relevant documents, and I will emphasize like mention all the extracurriculum certificates and whatever you have to support your application. And yeah, I will come to the next part of the question. Like you have to send the hard copies of the application. Yes, after you're done with the application on the Stipendium website, then you have to take a printout of that application along with other certificates which we have attached, which you believe will support your application, and you have to attach everything. And I think the UGC will release a different application form as well, and you have to fill that. All together you have to send physically to their office, which is in New Delhi, and then if everything will goes well, they will release the nomination list. And what was the last question? Sorry, can you please
Yeah,
tell me?
if all of you could sort of go and talk about your interview experience, because they want to know the possible interview questions. So you could just
Okay.
briefly talk about that. I mean, if all of you had interviews. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go first. For me, I was specifically applying for cybersecurity, computer science. So my interview questions were mostly related to computer science coding, and what is this language? What will be the output of this? If someone is applying to computer science, please feel free to ask me about the interview questions. Like for me, was the questions like, what is this output? What is this coding language? What do you know about this thing? So mostly it's related to my courses. And like Imtishal also mentioned that for him it was aptitude, so it can vary depending on your courses.
Perfect. And if I go next, so in my experience, yes. So for me, mostly it was on the basis of the program, like why did you like this program and what is the reason that you have chosen particular subjects? And then they were very specific about like what have you got from your experience as I was working with the non-profit as well. And I had mentioned that in my SOP. So please do remember that whatever you are mentioning in your SOP will be cross-checked. So sometimes using ChatGPT would not help, or just writing an anecdote from somewhere would not help. So it's very important to understand and think through what you're writing, so that when they ask you, they not just ask you the random question, but they'll be very, very specific on what exactly you have done. And they kind of like little bit grinded me, but I think I went through it. So I think they grind you very well if they feel like something is missing or something like that. So mostly it will be on the basis of your SOP. So try to focus on that. And then they'll open up your CV and they'll see like on the particular time you have done this, so what were your learnings and what did you learn from that, and like how did you contribute to the organization? So it's not all about like you learning, but sometimes you, or how are you contributing to the work where you're working. So it totally depends on the kind of program you're doing, but please think through what you're writing in your SOP, and mostly your questions will be based on your SOP. So but I would be happy to like response in your LinkedIn or email if you have any specific questions for that.
I think for me, I'll go by what Imtisal also said, that because I was applying for PhD and I have had on-ground experiences with non-profit organizations. So I worked basically, and also I have had a research experience with University College London. I worked on a project, a research project, which was basically about gender-based violence in Kashmir. It was basically a twin study. So I thought that's I'm from English literature. I mean, how is that going to, let's suppose, entertain them? So as Intisal said, that I had just mentioned that detail in my SOP, and the very first question that they put out there was, okay, so you have worked with University College London, and then how do you actually merge your proposal with it? How do you see it? I mean, what were your experiences? Blah blah blah. But that's not the only thing. So most of the questions, apart from this question, apart from few of the questions from my non-profit organizations, it was mostly about my research. I still remember, I had this long proposal in my hand. Thankfully, I had the printout with me, and one of the professors from University of Szeged, basically she asked me literally about a line in my proposal. I mean, earlier I would be of the opinion that why would they go through my 21-page proposal, and why would they want to read every detail about it? But that's not so. They grind you over little things. As Imtisal said, they grind you over little things. Be very particular about what you are writing, be it in your proposal, be it in your motivation letter, be it in anything for that matter. Uh, they actually pinpointed few of the points from my proposal. They said, okay, this line, and you have quoted this line this way. So what is the relevance of this line in your proposal? How do you see this very particular point? So understand, it's not so that they are just you're handing them over your proposal and they're not reading it. They read it line by line. They're going to grind you. So be very particular about what you're writing, how you're linking with your project, and there shouldn't be any irrelevant information.
Thank you so much, and we're conscious of everyone's time, so we will just quickly go through the questions now. Someone wants to know the step-by-step application process. I think we went through this in the slides. I think Zeeshan covered it. So we'll share the recording of our session on the YouTube channel. You can go through it, but does someone want to quickly recap it, like in points, the step-by-step application process, just so that we can get it done?
Zeeshan, you want to go ahead or should I go ahead?
Yeah, sure, for sure. As you can go.
No, please go ahead. Yeah.
Maybe half. Yeah, let's go. First of all, you have to go through the Stipendium Hungaricum.hu, and you have to there you have to choose two universities and two courses specifically, and then according to the priority. And then after that, every like you have to give your all the like details, educational details, and everything. Like if you have an experience, you can add, and there is a section for motivation letter as well. So you have to like be very careful like while writing, because there is a word limit as well. So you have to mention everything whatever you feels like it's important in that word limit only. So try to like spend some time on that. And also there is a section for documents as well. So upload all the relevant documents which you think is necessary for your application. And lastly, I think they will yeah, experience I have mentioned, and that's it. I think if have not mentioned anything, Imtishal, you can add it.
No, I think that's good to go. It's all about like just going through the application and then meanwhile go
Hmm.
through the UGC. So
Yeah.
I think maybe we should just I can happy to screen share and see where exactly does the UGC like drops like sends its notification, because as many of the people might be having that confusion like how is it and where does it exactly appear. So I have already opened the tab, and if the moderator allows me to share
Yes,
my
yes.
screen, and I would be happy to share it and then show it to them. Okay, perfect. So
And just before you begin, someone has also asked that where do we contact regarding the nomination from the sending partner if it's not UGC this time? So if you could also address that after you show the website. Yeah.
sure. So guys, UGC, you have to type UGC, and then I hope my screen is visible, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And then I think I'm already on the. So when you come to UGC portal, this is how it looks like. And then you have to scroll down, and then here you see international cooperation. And if you open this tab, and then here you will be able to see the notification. And if you just want to, it is easier to just type it here and then see, this is how it looks like. Oh, this year notification is already there. Congrats. If I'm not wrong. Is it this year's? Yes, this is
No,
it.
no. Oh,
No?
this is it.
Yeah, so guys,
2024. Yeah. It
congratulations,
is.
it's already there. So please go ahead, and this is how. So once you click on this, so this is how it looks like, and then oh yeah, it's all about like emoji thing.
It's not for the this year. I think they released this in January. So regarding the that there is a delay, and then we will update you. I think so.
Okay, perfect. So I'm really sorry
Hmm.
then. So this is how it looks like, and you will see the Stipendium Hungaricum notification, and you will be able to like you will have the clear and clear cut like guidance how to apply and how to submit and what are the documents you have to submit. That's all it is. And coming back to the Stipendium, you all must be wondering. So this is also like this tab is also open. Let me just quickly show you. So you have to go to the application, and then you will see all the programs and the timelines, and then apply here, and then you will like put the filters here, and then you apply, and you will be able to see, for example, masters in public policy and management, and then masters, and then select, and here you will be able to see all the programs, all the universities which has that program. So this is how it works, and then you will be able to see here on the right side like if the program like if the university is already accepting the applications or not, and this is how it looks like. So yeah, that's how it works. And I hope it was helpful. And sorry, There was another question I missed it. So.
Yes, yes. So the question is that where do we contact regarding the nomination from the sending partner if it's not UGC this time? So if it's not UGC, where
That's
do
a
we
very good question. I
And sorry
figured
to interrupt, but could you also please very briefly contextualize what the UGC is and what role it plays, and basically what role it has in these applications? Because we have participants from different countries, so they might have different sending partners or whatever. So if you could please clarify that, what role it plays, and if different countries would have different partnerships with their respective national bodies. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So first question, how do you contact? So there is for the UGC, you cannot like if you're emailing, sorry, they're not going to respond to you. Call them. I used to like literally call them like 10 times a week or something, but sometimes they pick the call, sometimes they don't, and that's the only way. At the worst case scenario, if you have any friend, the people who are in Delhi, if you have someone in Delhi, then you can send them over there and they can inquire us. But mostly you can call them and there is a number. And but sorry if I don't have that number, so maybe you can Google and you can figure it out. And the second question is like, what is sending partner? So once you submit your application process in the Stipendium Hungaricum, this is a sending partner who selects the students if they have to like go from this country. So every country has their own sending partners. If I'm not wrong, the Pakistan has higher educational ministry, yeah, something. So this is how it is, and the sending partner will nominate you if like for example, you have already submitted your application to Stipendium, and if you haven't got selected from sending partner, that means you're not proceeding with your application, because sending partner has to nominate you first. Then and only you will be able to proceed with your application. So it totally depends. Yes, HEC in Pakistan. So that's how it is, and it totally depends. India doesn't have a proper criteria. Mostly they say that it's credential based, but I'm not sure about the HEC in Pakistan and other countries. So I would suggest you to just call them if they are active and try to understand what's the criteria and what basis are they
I think
selecting
for
them.
Pakistan, they actually conduct an exam,
Oh.
which takes place nearly around January. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's a written exam and it's considered as one of the toughest.
All the best, guys, Pakistan.
Okay, we have a lot of questions, so we'll quickly address two more. 7.5, by two more, I mean for now, we'll address all the questions. So if you have anything, you can ask right now. But is 7.5 the same for PG Masters? I think they're referring to the CGPA. So is 7.5 the same for PG Masters? This is one. And the second is it mandatory to have research publications? So if someone could address these two questions.
Tabish, you can go ahead.
7.5 for masters is it's I would say there are two things basically. One is eligibility criteria, and then there's the selection criteria. Okay, for eligibility criteria, of course, 7.5 is the ideally for every university you would get to hear that
Mm-hmm.
7.5 is an optimum level that you would uh, have. But for selection criteria, as I suggested, that we are progressive. We are in progression, in a state of becoming. So lots of people have GPAs touching 9 pointers or 9.5 pointers. So yeah, the selection criteria becomes really tough when it comes to GPA. They usually now they prefer candidates that are having higher GPAs if you are applying for masters, but it gets a little relaxed with PhD, because in PhD you just don't have to be just it's not all about the GPA itself. It's more about your research aptitude, your research publications, your on ground experiences. So GPA plays a very important role. What was the second question?
Research
Is it
publication.
mandatory to have research publications? I think you can answer that for PhDs, and then Zeeshan or Imsal can answer for masters.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Please go ahead.
yeah, that's what I'm saying, that having a research publication is really an additive. I mean, that's not sometimes lots of candidates are applying for a scholarship. So in that capacity, having a research publication is really important. But let's suppose we have a little less rush of candidates applying for a scholarship, applying for a position. I mean, in that capacity, they wouldn't actually want to have your research publications. It's better to have a concrete and very concise and very, clear proposal about your ideas, about your research ideas. It's not really important, but I would say it's 60-40, 60% they are really important, rather 70% they are really important, because a supervisor would want to work with a person who already has a research experience. He doesn't have to teach him or her about how to conduct a research, let's suppose. So having a publication is logically very important. It gets very important now. As I said, that we are in progression. Nowadays, every candidate, every student is already so updated that they start publishing while they are just in their undergrads. So brace up. So focus on your publications. It's really important. It's really important. Trust me. And once you have a publication, you have literally 100% chances to get it.
For the masters, I don't think it's very like mandatory. Maybe in the undergrads you didn't got the opportunity to publish a paper or do some research work, but for the PhD, of course, as Tabish mentioned, it's 60-40 maybe, and for masters, it's not an criteria for to have a publication or something, but at the same time, experience may be counted. For example, if you are applying for MBA, there are some universities which they do require 2 years or 1.5 years of experience, professional experience, full-time experience. So if you have experience, please like attach relevant documents and everything. I think it will help in the application process. Thank you.
Imtisal, do you want to quickly add something? Or
I think
okay,
he
okay,
has
okay,
already
okay.
answered the question.
All right. Okay. So there is a very specific question. I have done bachelor's in German studies with 7.7 CGPA. My minor subject was economics. I want to apply for MSc in international economics and business. They want ECTS 120. My overall ECTS is 168, but I'm not sure if they want overall or subject-wise ECTS. ECT. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can someone? Yeah.
I think it's overall because there is no specific like this. So if you have for there is no specific. It's overall credits is considered.
So what I would do if I am at your place is that, just to be on a safer side, the university where you're applying, I'll email it to the professor and I'll
Yeah.
ask saying, this is my credentials and this is where I have studied from. Sometimes when we are studying from India, the credits are not that recognized. But when you're studying from abroad, few times if you are like little bit like less and like more and less, they'll compromise with it and it will work. So I would suggest you to please email the professor or the university and get it clarified, because a lot of times the kind of information we listen to is sometimes like not right. So it's always the best thing to email the professor and like get the right information from the right person.
Mhm.
And
Thank
then
you. Yeah, okay. So what kind of questions can a supervisor ask if we cold mail them for approval and they get interested in our study and ask to meet on Zoom? Tabish, do you want to quickly respond to that? Yeah.
Yes, I think when you are writing to them, basically, and most of the times, because that's what really happened with me. I got an email from my professor just to check. I mean, it's not just I literally sat down for a formal interview with the university authorities, but I have had an interview with my professor almost. So yeah, they might ask you, they might test you with regard to your proposal beforehand. So be prepared with it. They If they ask for the Zoom meeting, please set up a time with them and discuss your research ideas. It doesn't have to be very formal sort of interview, but then professors are really sharp. They gather informations in bits and bits. So read beforehand and then approach your professors once you're ready with that, because usually if some professor, if a professor is actually interested in what you are doing for now, they would hit up an email to you, within, let's suppose, no time, because that's what my professor did with me. And I got two such emails where they asked me for the Zoom meetings, and informally I had two meetings with the professors. One with a professor from University of Szeged, and other with a professor from University of Debrecen. So get prepared with it. And they might ask you about your research experiences beforehand, because in the formal interview, you would have a panel of, let's suppose, 6 to 7 to 8 people in the panel. Okay, in the interview, but that doesn't happen in the masters. Usually in masters and in bachelors there are only 2 to 3 professors, as far as I know. But if you are sitting for a PhD interview, that's really going to be deal. And understand, your 1 hour is not going anywhere. It's an hour interview. It's 1 hour interview, and they're going to grind you over every small detail. But your professor basically gives you a teaser, sort of, or a sort of a prototype what's going to look like in the formal interview. So yeah, be prepared. But that does not happen with every department, because I spoke to a colleague from Department of Mathematics. That didn't happen with her. So she was kind of cool about it. But if you are from arts and humanities, because how much you are able to actually verbally articulate your research ideas is really important. So have an idea. And also that really happens with science and tech too. I mean, that could happen. That's not something new.
Thank you so much. There's one more question. A professor from University of Szeged offered me acceptance consent for PhD over email only. I would like to ask about the fellowship for living expenses. How much we can save from the fellowship if we do not want to work part-time, as I do not want to do it during my PhD. I understand expenses varies person to person and city to city. University of Szeged in Budapest, I think. Yes. Does anyone want to take that? Yeah.
Mm, I mean, I can take that, but I think Tabish is in a better state to answer because, yeah, yeah. So please go ahead.
I mean, well, world is in crisis, I must say. If it's about the amount of scholarship you're getting, I would say that for PhD, I don't think so. If your living experiences are really moderate, I would say it's like a very good amount to be in. Okay, I mean, it's like post Brexit or post COVID, we are really under, we are in inflammation right now. I mean, everywhere you see, expenses uh, rising, but because they are providing the monthly accommodation waiver, also your tuition waiver, and then your monthly stipend too, I think that would do, and you would be able to save a little bit. And also, very important detail. Don't, Stipendium Hungaricum is a really nice scholarship, because apart from your monthly stipend, apart from your accommodation stipend, and apart from your tuition waiver, you actually get the departmental budget too. Let's suppose you're going for conferences, or you would want to submit a publication to some eminent journal. They're going to support you with that. Particularly for PhD candidates, there is a set amount of scholarship amount that every department gets, and you will have to consume that scholarship amount in a year. So it's like it gets renewed year by year, year by year. And suppose last time I was supposed to go for a conference in Scotland, and of course there's a visa fee, there is accommodation fee, there is food expenses. So they were covering that. Understand, there is this, other than this monthly stipend and stuff, there is a research budget too that's going to support you. So you don't have to, let's suppose you're traveling to some other country in Shenzhen or even outside Shenzhen, you will have to submit your budget to the department. They're going to support you with that. With the monthly stipend that you get, you're going to, let's suppose, sustain yourself in that country, the food expenses, or maybe let's suppose the travel expenses. So I think you can save a large chunk.
Thank you. Z- Zahir has mentioned that you jumped to the next question. Can you please highlight my query? I'm so sorry, I cannot see your question. Maybe you've directed it to a panelist. in which case, if one of you could
Yeah,
address.
I think I am getting Zahir's question. Good evening. I want to know if I can apply for PhD in political science. I am a master's student. How much chance a political science student has to get accepted? How can I get entry into foreign universities for PhD? Zahir, I'm looking at your question. Thank you so much for dropping that question in. As I said that everybody has a fair chance until and unless you have the clarity of ideas and also you are in alignment with what your professor asked. So go to doctori.hu, see what are your shortlists, the universities. There are basically the universities. If I'm not sure, I mean, like my uh, when you go to doctori.hu, there are basically many universities, and under those universities, you get to see many supervisors who have announced the topics. So check and try to scrutinize, try to see if you are interested in actually in working with any of these any of these research topics, and then shortlist those professors. Write to them about your ideas, send them your research proposals, and send them your CVs too. I'm so sure they entertain people having great ideas. And also, I think that's the criteria, and have your publications ready by that time. They will ask about it. Have a conversation basically with the professors, and don't get demotivated. Most of the times we get rejections from the professors more than the acceptances. There are two acceptances and 98 rejections. Mostly this is what happens, and I think Zeeshan, me, Imtisal, we already went through this process. Don't get demotivated. The consistency is the key, I would suggest.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tabish. I will move to the next question. Can't we select the same course? For example, one course is sustainable agriculture in one university and in the other university agriculture course. I'm not sure I understand the question, but it's like, can we select the
I
same?
actually understood this
Yeah,
question.
okay, okay, okay. Go ahead, go ahead.
This is very particular to Stipendium, that basically we have the option to select two universities, and that means two courses basically. So sometimes a person gets the first choice is always entertained, by the way. If let's suppose you got accepted by the both of the universities, as in my case I got accepted by both of the universities, but then my first university is actually the university I got into. Let's suppose I'm not interested in actually getting into my first university, and then now I want to switch to the other university, or maybe let's suppose to some other university around. So in that case, first semester, if you are getting accepted by the Tempest Foundation here, the higher education of Hungary, basically. So you will have to spend a semester in the university you have selected, and then you can switch to any other university where you are interested in. Basically,
Yeah.
that's how it works.
Thank
So,
you, Tabish.
sorry,
Okay.
but I have received a direct question from Samiullah. I would
Sure.
love to know about changing my interest as I have done a lot of development sector work, although I am in my medical degree. I want to go for science. Please let me know how can I proceed. The simple thing is that doesn't matter what you have done before, but you have a clarity what you want to do and what you want to achieve from that. If you have a clear goal about it, then it's all about like connecting the past development sector experience to your program, what you're going to do, and then like write a good SOP, and that's how you can proceed. But it's just about like showing the motivation. Why do you have an interest for this sector? That's mostly the case what they're looking for. If you're transitioning the like career, that's well and good. It's just about like giving them the clarity. Why do you want to transition, and what made you to transition from that medical to social sector? That's all it is.
Yeah,
And
of course. I mean, I also know a lot of my guys who were doing medical and then they shifted to IT. So of course you can do it if you want.
okay.
A little detail here is sometimes every department has a sort of they already, because that's what I actually came to know about from one of my friends this year. My friend was from BSc radiology. Basically, he had uh, uh, done BSc radiology, but he was applying for physiotherapy, even though it's a the fields are somehow related to medicine or medical field, right? But even though he was entertained at the first place by Stipendium Hungaricum people or the university professors themselves, but later on he came to know that he has the eligibility criteria. I mean, like he's the eligibility uh, sort of glitch because sometimes what they ask for is, I mean, but that's requirement for some of the universities, not all of the universities, that if you are applying for a master's, a specific master's, let's suppose, you must have, let's suppose, a bachelor's degree in the relevant field. But that does not happen with every university. You have to check the university website for that, and also the stipendium guide for that. I think there is a stipendium Hungaricum guide that comes handy. Go to the website and get it downloaded somehow.
Thank you, Tabish, and we're way above time, but I really want to answer all the questions because I'm sure all of you will be applying this cycle. So we'll quickly go to this one. What should be the length of the research proposal? Can you quickly address that? Length of the research proposal. Can you quickly address that? Yeah.
That really varies, but ideally, I would say that with every university that varies, even globally that varies. But I would say that minimum have 10 pages of your proposal, minimum 7 to 10, with references 7 to 10, because I mean, you will have to have an introduction, you will have to have your methodologies defined, you will have to have your research objectives defined, you will have to have a glimpse, let's suppose, of your hypothesis. So it's a lot of work, and also more detailed your proposal is about. I mean, like it's not just your proposal; it's more about a glimpse on what you have read so far, how updated you are with the research. So use a manual, a very concrete manual, let's suppose APA or MLA, or for that matter, Chicago. You can go with these manuals and prepare a very, comprehensive draft of what you are actually trying to do with the work. I mean, that's the best way to do it. Otherwise, there's not any set limit. I mean, you can have a 2-page proposal, 3-page proposal, 5-page proposal. Of course, the more detailed it is, the more comprehensive it is, and the more lucid it is, the more they're going to entertain your application.
Thank you, Tabish. Samir has mentioned that I have a question. If you still do, you can drop it in text or raise your hand. Just let me check if there's any other.
Zayan, I have a direct message from Suraya Sabreen.
Yeah, okay. Before you take that, we'll quickly answer this. You can also take this with that question. I don't have any publications, but I have an 8.8 CGPA in masters and research experience as part of an academic project. Will that work for the PhD?
I beforehand came across this question. Quick point that sometimes we do not have publications. That's all right. That's all right. If you have a research project or a research thesis in the end semester of your degree, what you can do quickly is sometimes, because that's what my professor did with me. Even though I had publications too, but he asked for my dissertation. So sometimes that acts as a kind of catalyst in evaluating your project. They will have a look at your master's or thesis or your undergrad thesis. So be prepared with it. Give them a copy from your department that's already, that you have already submitted in the previous department. So that's okay, I think. I mean, your project also works as a sort of research experience beforehand.
Right.
And then I have Suraya Sabreen. I have a gap year of 2 years. Does it affect my selection? I have a CGPA of 9.17 and one publication, the manuscript of which is under preparation.
Tabish, before you answer this, so sorry to interrupt you, but before you answer this, I want to club one more question with this. I've done bachelor's in architecture in 2013, and I've been working since then. Now I want to pursue further studies. Is it recommended? So you could also address this with the question. Yeah.
Okay, I'll address second question first. So you have a bachelor's and you completed it in 2013, and then since then you have been working till now. I think until and unless you don't have a gap year, put in particular to your situation, if you don't have a gap year and if you have like lots of work to your credit during these years, I think they're not going to stop you anyway, but you will somehow have to convince them in your interview, because in interview we usually get to see these questions that you have a gap year, what were you doing in that gap year? And gap year is usually a nuisance for them, because they question that, you know, what exactly they were doing in that gap year. So until and unless you have a very convincing answer to this question, I think they're going to entertain you anyway, because I have had lots of colleagues in my university who actually took gap years with, I think, work. Somehow it was related to their work, so they got in. And for Suraya, Sabreen, you have a gap year of 2 years. If you were working in that period, I think you would be easily able to defend that. But if it's fully you didn't, I mean, like if it's completely you were out of touch with your studies, so you will somehow have sort of, you know, maybe questions coming from the panel itself, that why the gap year of 2 years. Basically, you'll have to justify why 2 year gap. And somehow, if you have a gap, and that affects your application sometimes. Even though, but since you have a publication already to your credit and you have a GPA, you have an outstanding GPA, I think that's going to help too. So it's not too much bleak. It's not too much bleak.
Thank you so much. And I think this is the last question. What all documents should be submitted to the UGC? Imtisal, do you want to start with that? And then Tabish, you can jump in if there is any additional document you require for the PhD, apart from, yeah.
Imtisal, you're on mute.
I'm sorry, guys. So you have to submit the whole document. Am I wrong, Tabish? Oh, okay. So
No, Fasal, I'm so sorry if I made any.
no, that's okay. So you have to take a printout of your form which you have submitted to Stipendium University. Along with that, you have to take out a printout from the UGC, which UGC will provide you in the notification. You have to fill that form, and then along with all your documents which you have submitted to Stipendium, you also have to print out the form which has been given to UGC and then just send it to them. It's very, very simple. And when they give you the notification in the UGC, it's very clearly mentioned what they want and how many pages they want, and from which page to which page they want. They'll clearly mention you in that notification. So yeah.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Tabish, do you want to add anything? Are the documents the same for masters as well as PhD programs?
For masters, I think Imtisal has already suggested these documents, but for PhD, if you have any publications, get them print. If you have any acceptances, get them printed. If you have any course certificates, let's suppose, or you have additionally, you know, you pursued some courses. Like for me, I did some NEPTEL courses, some online MOOCs, and I have certifications for that. So you can send them over. Basically, whatever to your credit, if you have certificates for those, send them over. And also your research proposal, get it printed and send it to UGC. And similar is the case with Stipendium portal itself. Even if you have a publication, for example, you'll have to upload all the pages. You'll have to upload the acceptances. You'll have to upload all the extra certificates, everything. So don't hesitate. If you have even, let's suppose, an internship period of 1 month. Sometimes we are like, what can this 1 month internship, do to my application? That shouldn't go that way. Upload whatever you have, because most of the universities, it's a very positive point too. Most of the no matter if you have had a work experience from any eminent, or let's suppose a very startup organization. Sometimes we start with, let's suppose, very very minute organizations, non-profit organizations, or any organization for that matter. So we tend to underestimate this notion that maybe they'll not entertain this, but they do not have an insider view where you are working. All they want is that, okay, there is something to his credit, his or her credit. So upload everything that you have.
Thank you so much, Tabish. I've put a couple of links in the chat box. The first one is the link to our resource material. So if you want to know more about writing your documents, or just checking out the guides that we've developed on SOPs, LOR, CVs, writing and drafting a CV, you can check it out on the first link. And the recording of the session will also be available on our YouTube channel. You can go through that. You can go through the recording of the session. We've also conducted various sessions on university and scholarship applications, which are available there. I really want to end this session, but there is one more question. I have two publications. Oh my God. Okay, two questions. I have two publications, but they're both under process. I don't have a DOI yet, but I have a contract signed. What do you guys suggest? What is the best research topic in English literature for PhD? Okay, I don't know. You, I wish you can probably address.
Okay, for the first question from Ayla Maharaj. Ayla, if you have two publications, which is already a good point, but if you do not have a DOI for now, okay, UGC Stipendium Hungaricum is a very student-friendly portal because you keep on adding details to it for longer period of time. So I think till March, Imtisal, am I right? Zeeshan, am I right? For till March, we can edit the application till.
No. 15th of January, I think, is the
No,
deadline.
no, no, no. Basically, because
Oh,
I didn't have the I didn't have the acceptance till Feb, I think.
You're
I
right.
think
You're
okay.
right.
You mean the acceptance? Yeah, yeah.
I edited lots of my profile because they were under process, things were under process.
Okay, okay.
So I
Yeah, yeah,
kept
yeah.
adding details to my application till I think 10th of March or 9th of March. I think that was the deadline. So if you do not have a DOI for now, because for publications DOI is everything. If you do not have a DOI for now, but if you have a contract signed, let's do one thing. You actually upload the contract, take a picture of it or screenshot of it, upload it on your portal for now. But when you get actually the formal DOI of your publications, upload them directly on your, but do it before 5th of March, I would recommend. Um, then we have a question from Sameer. What is the best research topic in English literature? I mean, there is no set criteria for having best research topics. I think, it's your clarity and it's your research ideas, it's your novel research ideas that are really important, first and foremost. But then there are few things. I mean, choosing a research topic is a very personal choice. My and your research experiences both are best, by the way, because until and unless your ideas are great, be it my or be it yours, they're going to work. But I think narrow down your research to a single point. It doesn't have to be very complex. It doesn't have to be very, grand. Even if you can work with something basic, do it, but have a clarity of thought. They don't ask for any grand things, but uh, you know narrow down your research, because I think we just in the session only we got this question about gender studies. Let's suppose, I mean, gender studies is such a huge domain. You'll have to narrow down your research, you'll have to narrow down your theories, you'll have to narrow down your methodology, your theoretical part, and then your text too. So be precise with your text, theory, and methodology. These three things, and you're good to go.
Thank you, Tabish. We have one more question on. Okay, someone is asking for LinkedIn or email ID. So I don't know if the panelists are comfortable in sharing their email IDs to speak to anyone. You can either DM them.
I have already DM'd them my
Yeah,
LinkedIn.
all right. Okay. But depends on the panelists if you're comfortable in doing that. There is one more question, and this is going to be the final question. How a reference letter, basically what role does a reference letter play in the scholarship? Should I get my reference from the professor subject wise, or one is enough?
Yeah,
And
okay, I'll take this. I think unless and until it's specifically mentioned in your application that you need a reference letter, it's not mandatory. But of course, again, if you have, for sure, please attach it. And I think one is enough. And for sure, if you are like applying to other scholarships as well, it's mandatory somewhere. So if you have, please attach the reference letter. One is enough if you want to get more. It's not like subject wise, but suppose if you have a professor whom you have done your thesis, so it's good to have one reference letter from them. so that he or she maybe can define your research work in that reference letter. So yeah, one is enough if you have, and if you have some experience, you can also have the reference letter from your employer as well. So professional reference letter and educational reference letter you can attach.
Okay, and is that the same for the PhD as well, PhD programs as well?
think
Ta-
PhD,
Ta- Good.
I
Right.
think for PhD, you will have to have a, very specific reference letter, because ultimately, at the end of the day, it's your previous, university professors that actually vouch for your, your research, academic excellence, or whatever. So with reference letters, sometimes the process gets really tiring, because you're applying for simultaneously many universities, and then you'll have to knock your professors time and again about the reference letters. So what I would suggest, that's what I did, and I'm so sure Imtisal and Zeeshan would have also done this, because everybody applies for a number of scholarships. At least if it's a general one, write a preliminary draft, just in order to have sometimes professors are loaded with work. You never know how much they're handling in their work environment. So it's basically, sometimes you can, if they ask for, if they're comfortable with this, you can give them a preliminary draft with the requirements that your university or the specific scholarships ask for. You can give them a draft, and then they can edit it according to their ease. Okay, that's one way of going about it. But then there are few scholarships that actually ask for, that are really imminent. Let's suppose if somebody is applying for Oxford, somebody is applying for Stipendium, the requirements, vary. So be very particular about the requirements that the scholarship, you know, demand. You need to have a revised edition of your reference letters, and every professor has different experiences with every candidate, so it can't go generalized. Understand one thing: nothing pertaining to your stipendium or any other scholarship applications is it can't be generalized. It can't be chat gpt can't work.
Yeah, thank you, Tapish. I'm working in HR. How should I prove it? How should I let how should I let them know on paper? Don't want to send the contract, and I can't ask for experience letter from my company. Last question from my side, please, guys. Okay, who wants to take that?
If you're working as an HR, for sure, I mean, you have the relevant documents related to that. But if you don't have, just mention this. And if you don't want to ask from them, maybe you can attach the offer letter as well and hide the like relevant documents, just as a proof that you are an employee of that company. Offer letter can work. And if you like, suppose you're working for more than 1 year, maybe you will have in some 1 year or anniversary paper or something. It depends on your company. So just attach whatever documents you have relevant to your employer or the company you are working for. And if not, if you don't want to ask them, just mention this without any documents, it will work.
Okay, thank you so much. We'll now end the session after close to a couple of hours. And thank you so much. And once again, thank you so much to our panelists for joining us today. I think it was an amazing, amazing session. We had a comprehensive presentation, and thank you so much for answering all these personal doubts of the applicants. I'm sure it'll be of great help to them and the participants who joined us today. As I said, the recording will be available on our YouTube channel, so you watch it again, share it with your friends if they want to know more about the scholarship. And yes, please, you can check out the Instagram or other social media pages of Project EduAccess to get more information on upcoming sessions on different scholarships or university applications, a lot of which are also available on our YouTube channel. So once again, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much, Tabish, Zeeshan, and Imtisal. Thank you.
Thank you, Vishan and
Thank you so
Imtisal.
much for organizing.
Wonderful meeting you
Likewise.
all.
Likewise. Good luck to everyone with your application process.
Yeah, good luck to
And
everybody.
please reach out if you have any doubts, okay?
Yeah, please reach out if you have any queries.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was nice meeting you, Zeeshan and Tabish. And
Likewise, same.
bye.
Yeah, thank you so much. And as they
Bye
said,
bye.
they're
Take care.
kind enough to put their LinkedIn and emails in the chat description. So if you have any questions, you can reach out with those via email. And best of luck with your applications.
Perfect.
Bye bye.